Welcome to my channel Living Linux. As the title says, this is not for the average user. So I've been playing around with the Banana Pi F3 with the SpacemiT CPU, and it has RISC-V Vector 1.0. So I was very curious if there were any differences with the vector instructions, the draft version 0.7. So what I tried to do was just compile stable diffusion with OnnxStream and see if it would work. But it turned out to be a bit more difficult than usual. So let's just say the general stuff here. So even though it says that the graphics driver is here, it's not really in use. We're on kernel 6.1. I have the 4 GB model and we're on Wayland. So yeah, we're running Bianbu 1.0. So if you have installed one of the release candidates, then when you're connected to the internet, then let's just say after a minute or perhaps 2 minutes, it will let you know that you can upgrade to version 1.0. So like I said, the settings, they seem to indicate that the graphics driver is in use, but when we do glx info -b, you can see that we're actually using softpipe, so we're not running on the hardware. And for instance, if we try Vulkan info, that one will segfold. Well, takes a while. There it is. So no need to send that. You probably know it. So if we just do the usual test, WebGL Aquarium, yeah, it's not fast. It's comparable to the Geniatech 0 single board computer with the Rockchip 3566, if I remember correctly. So we're running at around 30 frames per second with 500 fishes, well, a bit above 30 frames per second. So, but yeah, that's not really spectacular. So coming back to the vector instructions version 1.0. Now Bianbu comes with GCC version 13, that's the C compiler, and that one doesn't have the support for the RISC-V vector instructions 1.0, so you need to have gcc-14. But with Bianbu at the moment, they're holding back the packages just to make sure that their patches that they sorry, they've made some patches and they want to keep them. So overwriting with new versions, then yeah, you get rid of the patches. So they're keeping a lot of things. So installing gcc-14 at the moment, that's not a trivial thing. So you need to have access to, perhaps the testing repository is fine, but I just went with unstable or SID. So what you can do is sudo nano, oops, no, that's not it. Or that should be it. Oh. Yeah, so what I did is I added this line. So you can see that we're referencing SID, the SID repository. And so let's just say if you save it like this, then you need to do sudo apt update. So it will discover everything that is in the SID repository. And then you still have the problem with the held back packages. So I'm not going to save this because I already went through this procedure. But if you want to do the same procedure, then you have to save it and do sudo apt update. Now, if you want to install gcc-14, like I said, you will run into the held back packages. So you can install aptitude, because with aptitude it's fairly easy to ignore the held back packages. One more thing, once you've added the repository, the SID repository or unstable repository, you also need to add the repository keys. So I found this script and you can just download it. You have to make sure that it has executable rights. So this needs to be activated. And then in a terminal, just / and then the script name. Let it do its thing, and then you can do sudo apt update. So going back to aptitude, so you can just install it like this. Well, I already have it installed, so now that you have aptitude, you can do sudo aptitude install gcc-14. Well, I already have it installed, so I can't really show now what will happen, but it will notice that there are held back packages, and the first suggestion that aptitude will give is do nothing. So, but it will ask you if you agree with that. So you can say no. And then the next option is that it will force the installation of gcc-14. So, and then type in Y for yes, and it will do so. After that, you have to remove gcc-13. So sudo apt remove gcc-13. I already did that, so I'm not going to do it here. So once gcc-13 has been removed, you can change the sources list again, and then comment out the SID repository to sudo apt update again. And from there you should be able to use gcc-14. Now I also tried compiling it myself, but that took like more than 12 hours. And I only have 4 gigabytes of RAM, and well, I wanted to compile with 4 jobs to speed things up a little bit. And that also meant that I had to work with an 8 gigabyte swap file. So yeah, from a time perspective point of view, that's not the best move. So yeah, so here I found that they said like yeah, you can try to install with aptitude. One of the things I wanted to test is TyrQuake or TyrQuake, not really sure how to pronounce that. But then I ran into an issue, and well, luckily the RISC-V community on Reddit is quite active, so they were able to point out that yeah, perhaps it's caused by an error message. And then yeah, the easy part for me is that I have also a Litchi console, so I was able to compile it there, and this was actually the culprit. So ImageMagick is not installed with Bianbu. So once I installed ImageMagick, then I could just follow the instructions that in this case that I tried with Diffusion 5.2. So apparently the image that I used with Diffusion 5.2 ImageMagick was already installed. So, but so in the end I was able to get it compiled. So let's just say, and then we do oh yeah, so one of the things that I also noticed is that I don't have any sound from the HDMI port, so I connected something on the headphone jack, some speakers. So the sound that you hopefully are going to hear, it comes from the headphone jack, not through the HDMI port. Oops. Oh yeah. Look at this. So that was the first thing that started working. Yeah, I also tried Stable Diffusion with OnnxStream, and that one I was also able to compile on the Litchi console, because that one has factor instructions 0.7, because you need factor instructions. And that one, yeah, that's where they told me like, okay, you need gcc-14. And after that, I got another issue. So that reverse instruction, and luckily this person found the solution. So let's just say that you're following this instruction, Yep, so you start with XNN pack, and then you get the source for OnnxStream, and once you have the source, then there's two things that you need to change. So let's just say we have the OnnxStream, go to source, so we have the CMake list, and then there's this parameter, the architecture. So if you search for March, then you can find the correct line. It will say native, but you have to change it to this string, rv64 gcv underscore zvl256b. And in the OnnxStream header file, you have to add this line, include algorithm. So once you've done those two changes, you can compile OnnxStream. And yeah, downloading of the models didn't work for me. So yeah, so it does have instructions to download the weights manually. So I used Stable Diffusion XL Turbo. So you need to install LFS, and then you can just download the model. Now I also noticed that you have to use the RPi switch. Yeah, I think I also said in one of my earlier videos, these RPi and RPi low mem, they're not really meant for Raspberry Pi, but I guess the developer only tested it on Raspberry Pi as the ARM architecture. But it does mean that the RPi switch means that it will use a limited set of instructions, so that yeah, more systems will be able to run it. Yeah, because otherwise you might face the fail to create multiply operation. So if you encounter that error, you can try adding the RPi option. Now, finally, I was able to get things working. So as you can see here, this is how I started it. And it took quite a while. So the diffusion step is almost like 10 minutes. It also needs some time to start up, to decode. So yeah, I didn't really time it, but let's just say don't be surprised, it will take something like half an hour, perhaps a bit less, but yeah, I didn't really time it. And here we have the result. So I'm really happy that I got things working. Yeah, like I said, this is not the recommended way to do things. Perhaps there are other ways, perhaps also with other images or distros, that they already have support for gcc-14. Yeah, so this is where I got the architecture string. Yeah, so if you have a Banana Pi F3, then You can go to the forum of Banana Pi, and I think the forum for the F3 is quite active, and that's also where you can see that there are other options. So someone, or perhaps a couple of people, are busy with Gen 2. There's also a new ambient image, someone playing around with Ubuntu 24.04, and I think I also saw somewhere Arch, and I'm not really sure if it was on this forum or someone on Reddit, but yeah, as you can see, there is some activity on the forum of Banana Pi. So yeah, they're also busy with Bianbu version 2. But so far it hasn't been released yet, and there's no guarantee that gcc-14 will be available with Bianbu version 2, but who knows, and then you can just skip this video. Yeah, I guess at some point in the future then this video will be obsolete. So that's all for now, and I hope to see you again in my next video.